What's up everybody, and welcome back. I found another early recommendation that I'm really excited about because of the author that's working on it. Today I'm recommending It's Not Quite Love Yet, but which is being made by Hagiwara Daisuke, who also made Horimiya. So if you're a fan of that, you'll most likely be a fan of this. It definitely feels similar and is why I'm excited about this. So far there's only one chapter, and it's a romance, school life, slice of life about Umi Sayama, a 16-year-old high school girl who feels like her life is in a rut since all she does is go to school, go home, and read manga. That's until her mom tells her that she's going to be staying with the neighbors as she goes on a long-term business trip. Umi's not too keen on the idea since she feels like she could have taken care of herself just fine, but goes over anyway and reminisces about the neighbor's son, Shoya Hiroi, who is 8 years older than her. And in typical manga fashion, he would look out for her before he went away for school and recently moved back. Umi is nervous and excited for the reunion, hoping it'll be like a manga, imagining what Sho must be like now as an adult. Wasting no time, Sho is the one who answers the door, and Umi's fated reunion and image of Sho immediately disintegrates as a gloomy, sleep-deprived, hair-dyed, cat ears wearing, bad posture having, messy clothes sporting Sho answers the door, and Umi's precious memories and expectations crumble on the spot to the point where she thinks she's speaking to the wrong person. So Umi is immediately dejected at what has become of Sho and doesn't know how to interact with this version of him and acts detached, which his mother understands since Umi hasn't seen him since she was younger. Her opinion of him does change when his mother reveals that Sho is actually a manga artist, but he cuts her off before she can say more. Still, Umi thinks it's amazing, which makes Sho cry and feel extremely embarrassed, and she realizes that he's not the boy she remembers or imagined, and this version of him is a complete stranger to her. Like anyone would, Umi tries to see the manga that Sho is working on, but he refuses to show her as he goes about his regular routine, which still impresses Umi, who seems to just like the creative process and being able to see it firsthand. It may also be that Umi has a personal interest in making manga since she thinks about offering to help with the manuscripts in crunch time, but I'm not sure if that's the reason or she's just trying to help. She does wonder what kind of manga he's working on and expects it to be gentle like she thinks he is, but she doesn't have to wait long to find out what Sho has been working on as she finds him asleep in the living room with a manuscript in hand, and she's not prepared to find out that he's been working on adult manga. Umi obviously freaks out and is immediately taken back and physically shuffles back from him as her image of him completely shatters, and she starts treating him like a strange pervy old man before she confesses that she has no idea who he is and he's not who she knew. Sho partly defends himself, saying he's putting his heart and soul into his manga before calling Umi a dummy and running away crying like a classic tsundere, but this leads Umi to reflect on what she said, admitting to herself that in 7 years, of course he would change because she's changed as well. She feels bad for what happened between them and admits to Sho's mom that she found out he's drawing adult manga, and she asks if Umi hates him now, but Umi says she doesn't hate him, but basically doesn't know how to deal with how her image of Sho no longer lines up with who he is. His mother thinks that's fine though, since she laughed at him and fought with him since she found out about what kind of manga he was making, so she's not concerned about it, but asks Umi to give this Sho a chance to try and understand him. So Umi takes up some food to Sho's room as an apology and goes in to see him working on his manga, startling him in the process, which leads him to immediately turn off his monitor because who knows what he was working on. But Umi apologizes for what she said earlier to him, and Sho apologizes for her finding out like that, which leads him to smiling in a reminiscent way way to Umi, who he promptly kicks out of his room since it's late at night and she's in a man's room. Umi says again that she supports his work and still thinks that he's amazing before admitting this change in her life might not be so bad. And I don't think this will be so bad either. In fact, I think it'll be fantastic, mainly because of the author. The first chapter does do a good job at setting up what the story will be like and what to expect from the characters, and if this was written by anyone else, I would still be interested, but I probably would have waited for 1 or 2 more chapters to come out before saying anything. But because it's being made by the same author as Horimiya, and I enjoyed that, I'm expecting the same level of enjoyment from this. Hopefully focused more so on one couple than various, but we'll have to wait and see, because no one outside of the MC, FMC, and their parents have been introduced. We don't even see Umi having any friends or talking to anyone in her brief moment in school or on her way to school. So maybe she's known as an ice queen, I really wouldn't be surprised, but we just don't know. The story comes across that it's going to be a lighthearted romance with an age gap that is way too big for me, but with Shou's personality, will probably be easily forgotten. I also can't speculate how much his manga will come into play either, as in, will they act things out for inspiration? Will Umi start helping him or start making her own manga, or will Shou start a new one? I don't know whether or not this will be relationship focused or a relationship side focus with a focus on becoming mangaka kind of thing, or at least for her becoming a mangaka. I have no idea. And like I said, this early recommendation is mostly based on author credibility rather than content, but I think the content will prove its worth. The first chapter is good, and I'm just expecting more of that. The characters so far are fine. I like Umi, she seems stoic, but I think she's just more reserved and introverted rather than a cold or emotionless person, because we do see her emotional moments, and they're not so few and far between that it would lead me to believe otherwise. She's also the most mature out of the two, with Shou really being a grown-up child. He's had glimpses where he's been mature, but if you're not a fan of grown men acting like kids, then maybe you won't love him. I don't know what the balance between him being a reliable adult and a child will be, but in chapter 1, it wasn't a worrisome amount. I think it's more so that he's going to be where most of the comedy comes from. Like I said, and I'm gonna say it again, just to be clear, this seems like it's going to be a good manga, based not just on chapter 1, but author. So if you watched or read Horimiya and want something like it, I don't think you'll find something closer than the follow-up the author's writing. So if this looks interesting to you, check it out and like the video and subscribe to the channel. And if you want more recommendations, check out the Why You Should playlist linked below. Other than that, I'll see all of you in the next one.